Mm. Hello, hello, hello. A little bit of a different setup. I'm pretty sure Logic remembers this one. A loss to the, Charlotte Hornets. Not really anything crazy. Just a little bit interesting to be honest. It just continues on down the path, I guess. That's the easiest way to look at it. I'm not mad though. What am I even looking at? Okay, here we go. I got my numbers pulled up now. Nice, we're good. All right. So, guys. How did we feel? How did we really feel about this game? Logic, said. Logic said, "Man, THT played his way out of the rotation again." I think it's just finally time they give Brice Sensabaugh some minutes, and we're seeing the production from that. As far as you said, Clarkson also with 34 minutes. I don't know how to feel about that. It's Jordan Clarkson. What I thought and what I've been hearing is they're looking to shop Clarkson come the offseason time. Unfortunately, I've also heard something similarly about Colin Sexton, which also begs the question, why are we only playing Colin Sexton 26 minutes on a nightly basis as of late? But I think we'll probably have a better picture of what exactly is going on maybe 10 more games down the line. We're in a situation where we can see ourselves actually, you know, either great good or great bad is going to come from this one. That's the best way to look at it. We said 9 turnovers for 3 guards. Mine is done. Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not the sexiest game we've ever played. Colin Sexton definitely had a large amount. Keyonte also had 5. 5 assists for both of them. So, I mean, they had their positives, but they also clearly had their abrasive negatives, if you will, which I'm not the happiest about. But, you live and you die with some. Surprisingly so, though, believe it or not, they both had a positive box score plus minus. So did John Collins and Taylor Hendricks, who had the highest, which is very interesting. As a matter of fact, Chris Dunn had no, he didn't have the lowest. He didn't have close to the lowest. He had one of the lower marks, which is kind of uncharacteristic for him because usually in the lineups that he plays in, he's usually the difference maker that allows them to have a positive box score plus minus or pretty dead even. But seeing him in the second unit now, obviously when he's alongside Jordan Clarkson or when he's in a situation alongside Walker Kessler and even with Brice Sensabaugh on the court, it puts him in a situation where there's not going to be an extremely high level of offensive output, and defensively they're not going to be completely stellar. So it just takes a slightly better opposing team's cast off the bench to really just negate what he does well. That said, I'm gonna read through y'all comments real quick, and then I'm gonna go on the positives that I do have from today, because I think, obviously if the objective that we are being told is to develop the rookies, not so much as to make it a thing of just, rebuild, as we know we are in one, and not so much directly tanking, but tanking by default. We still have, Market, and we still have Sexton, we still have Dunn, we still have all these bigger pieces playing for us. So I don't view it in the same light as I do last year. That said, I understand the logic behind it now, and I'm coming better to terms with it. And also when Keyonte George has games like this, where even though he shot 2 of 8 from the 3-point line, he was 7 of 14 overall. So he recognized his shot wasn't falling, and he managed to be 5 of 6 inside the arc and do other things well. He was extremely turnover prone. I don't think I've ever seen him have 5 turnovers before. I think he's had 4, 2 or 3 times so far this season. But this is obviously a season high turnovers, not great. Defensively, he wasn't terrible, right? I wouldn't call him a plus, but he definitely wasn't bad. We also saw, though, him end up with a positive box score plus minus of a +7. Colin Sexton, obviously, with his 3 of 10, wasn't terrific shooting, so much so that at one point, I was checking out the game with Cam and them, and he says that Colin Sexton hits the one shot or hits his second 3 because he was 2 of 4. Hits the second 3, flips off the rim, and says "F you." One of the funniest sequences ever, because what he said, I didn't even catch it. So we literally had to go and watch the replay. Is one of the funniest things. But he was 9 of 10 from the free throw line. So Him and Larry Markkinen together, as a matter of fact. This actually snaps Larry Markkinen's 100% free throw percentage across, I think it was 7 games. Now we are 8 games into this one. It's not there. But 24-27 from the free throw line. Really, the thing that killed us was at the 3-point line. We were 9 of 39. That is 23.1%. It's terrible. The Hornets, however, were extremely effective. 20 of 42, 47.6%. They shot a higher percentage from 3 than they did from the field. That's the doozy, because they were 20. Let me see. They were 20 for 50 from inside the arc, but 20 of 42 from outside the arc. Insane. 43.5% shooting overall. We were 42.5 at 37 of 87, but most of our field goals came from inside the arc, whereas outside we were absolutely hot dog water, which stands to reason that would explain the logic behind our situation. Let me see. Tyson, you said not good? No, not great. The Jazz suck. Dallin, yeah, very astute observation. I'd agree with you. Was there at the game look worse in person? Was there at the game look worse in person? Too sloppy, way too many missed scoring opportunities. The last illegal screen by Sexton really killed us. Yeah. One thing I was kind of surprised that they called it, but like after watching the replay several times, I was like, it kind of makes more sense. But like before, we saw a lot of situations where the other team, they were getting quite a few moving screens that were like blatant moving screens that weren't getting called. So I was actually kind of surprised, more so because they seemed to be letting them go. So when they called that one, I was like, oh, wow, we're losing. Why would you call that? But in essence, it was the right call to make. I was just surprised that we didn't see more of those calls made during the game. I like consistency from referees. If you're not going to call one call at a certain point, don't call it 3 minutes later. Be the same guy you were at the beginning of the game as at the end. That's all. But yeah, definitely, Gavin, you're on point with that. Donnie said, do you think we still make the playing tournament for the NBA? Nah. The Warriors aren't in a slump anymore. The Lakers are more respectable. They're actually facing off tonight. The Lakers are down. If my game score is currently queued up properly, they're in the third quarter is about to end. The Lakers are down double figures right now. Not crazy, but double figures. And one of them has to effectively like drop out of the playoffs for us to slide in there. And I don't see us being the better team out of either of those. All of Hendricks' misses were from 3. Yeah. Oh, I'm about to get to Taylor Hendricks logic. Yes, sir. Hendricks is him. I like what we saw today. I like what we saw today from him. It was very promising for us. It was extremely promising. Brice was a very nice surprise. Came in and played better than I expected with the time that he's gotten. What's up, Dink? Yes, sir. Most definitely. In only 12 and a half minutes, too. Now the box score plus minus wasn't great, and defensively he wasn't perfect. But from a scoring perspective, he came through the way that I expected him to, and that really is going to be the telltale sign of what things are going to be for him going forward. And just honestly, how much more we could play him, because obviously THT didn't play in this game. Those minutes went to Brice, as we thought for the past couple of games they should have, but it just makes more sense. Let's go ahead and roll Brice out here. Let's see what he's got. Let's see how far behind the curve he is compared to Keyonte George, or see how close they are, because they might be a lot closer than a lot of people actually realize. Because let's remember, Keyonte George, his weakest part is probably consistency in his playmaking, and then obviously he has the right shots. His shot just doesn't always fall for him off the catch, and then defensively, his level of intensity and then his effectiveness in the process of it. For Brice, it's consistency, playmaking, and then defense giving effort. He gives more of a Jordan Clarkson type of view on that side. Let me see. Do you think Keyonte George needs his experience? He will be better in his sophomore season. Yes, and today, despite him shooting poorly from 3, overall it was a very solid performance from him. One that tells me a lot about how much he's come forward since being a starter just in general, and overall going forward what we can expect from him. And I'm actually a lot more optimistic, because I was figuring after All-Star break he was going to give us I was actually expecting him to hit like 3 or 14. I'm not going to lie. Even though I was high on him in my most recent video, it's like we've also seen him be really good, and then we've seen him have a Jordan Clarkson effect, where he'll have a really good game and then have some really bad games, and a really good game and then some really bad games. But he has a couple really good games. It's like, oh, we're probably in the midst of what's about to be a pretty rough stretch for him. But no, I mean, the 3-point shooting wasn't great, but then again, Lowry was also 2 of 9. So none of us shot well from 3. But overall, I didn't hate it. No, definitely making strides in the right situation. KMW shout out. Yes, sir. That's one of the lowest energy games I've been to. I thought I was gonna fall asleep. No, that's rough, Dink. That's rough. I believe it though. I wanted to drop in and say what's up. Gotta hop off, but I'll keep you up. Appreciate you, Lee. Take care of yourself, brother. The Jazz are so unlikely to make the play-in that betting sites say they're plus 100,000 to make either except for the 6th seed. Bro, that's insane. Reasonable odds, though. Reasonable odds. Some comments for people that Brice was trying on defense. Yes, I did peep that. And especially since that was one of his prescribed weaknesses and why he spent so much time in the G League, as well as us just having like a million guards on our roster. Him giving effort will do more than anything, right? I'm a proponent for somebody if you are going to try on defense, but you're always going to be like not the greatest. I can accept that because the effort will be there when we need it to be there. When it's 3 minutes left in the game and the game score's tight, you're not going to be a liability by choice. You might get caught out of position sometimes, right? Because you're not a plus defender yet. But if your effort's there, I'm going to see the recovery. We're going to see you try and make plays at the ball. We're going to see you try and communicate on defense, those sort of things. Because you can't make somebody do it. They have to consciously make those decisions themselves. And I saw that from him today, I would say. Let's see. I guess the Jazz are taking the should have been W. I'll say this. I'm not entirely surprised that we lost to the Hornets. I didn't like the way that we lost. I'm not going to lie about that. I did not like the way we lost. I didn't like the lineup we ran. Probably the last 8-ish minutes of the fourth quarter. But I did see a lot that I need. The rookies combined for 35, I think? 35 points total? 19 plus 16, 35. Yeah, they had 35 between the three of them. So that was really the key takeaway from this game for me personally. Alongside the fact that John Collins shot 4 of 10 from the field and missed out on a double-double. He had 9 points and 18 rebounds. But little things. We said the refs came in clutch those last 5 minutes for Charlotte. Do you see what happened with Grant Williams? What part with Grant Williams? Let me know, Randall. But yeah, Brice looked better out there than THG. Yeah, he's been hungry for it. This is the most minutes he's played in a game, I'm pretty sure, so far this season. This is a season high for him. Oh, just Twitter? What happened on Twitter? Let me know. Twitter.com. Oh, huh? His meat. I'm not about to pull that up on my computer. I don't need that. I don't need another man's meat in my life right now. No, that's actually insane. That must have been why he was balling out. He was 6 of 11 from 3 today. He had to make everybody forget what he did, what he cursed us with. 1 of 5 inside the 3-point line. Okay, very serious question is why on earth did we not play Hendricks all in the fourth when he was literally keeping us in the whole thing in the third? I feel like our loss tonight was Hardy's fault because we had the keys to winning. He made a lot of dumb choices. I'm thinking that the remainder of the season, we're not seeing what Will Hardy wants to do. We're seeing what the front office wants Will Hardy to do, and he just has to operate within the restrictions that they give him. Like, we saw a point at the beginning of the season where nobody expected this team to be a playoff caliber team. Will Hardy turned trash to treasure and made pieces work, found out who could play with who, and made it work, and to the point where we were a playoff caliber team. They said, whoa, wait. Just because we told the fans that's what we were going to do, that wasn't actually what we really wanted to do. But since you did this, you were such a gracious person, and they have expiring contracts anyways, and we want to play our rookies, we're going to go ahead and trade them for assets. So that's what they did. And it put them in a situation to where, okay, now you're giving Will Hardy trash again. And like they bought out, what's his name? They bought out Kevin Knox, Kyra Lewis Jr. Apologies. Um, doesn't play very often at all, if at all. Salmonich, he's basically been relegated to the third string with Salmonich in year 7. And Johnny also is down there as well. THT got some minutes, but finally got pulled this game for Brice. Hopefully, this is a continuous trend. I can live with this rotation right here being the rest, what we see the rest of the season. I want to see more minutes out of Taylor Hendricks, though. If you're gonna have Lowry Markkanen play 36 minutes, Taylor Hendricks needs to see 30, right? If we're comfortable starting him now, it's time for them to allow us to put him on full display, right? Let's let Keyonte play 31 minutes, right? Brice Sensabaugh play 12 and a half. Let's go. Let's get their minutes up just a little bit, right? Jordan Clarkson should not be on the court for 34 minutes. The only reason that makes sense is if we're going to trade him, if we're looking to trade him in the offseason and we're trying to like showcase everything that he has left in the tank, right? That's the only way it makes sense. Other than that, take away. I'm not saying don't play him, but playing Jordan Clarkson like 26, 28 minutes is perfectly fine. Chris Dunn played a really high minute count today at 25, right? Take 6 to 8 minutes from Jordan Clarkson. Let Brice Sensabaugh get 20 minutes. Let him get 18 to 22 minutes a night, right? Taylor Hendricks, let's get him closer to 30, right? I'm glad that we finally got to see him for almost 26, but let's see some more out of him. He has a lot of opportunity, has a lot of promise. This is the first time we started him. He looked great in his defensive rotations. For me personally, I'm gonna pour over the tape a little bit more in hindsight, but or in the future. But 5 of 9 from the field. All his misses, again, as said before, were from 3. He was 1 of 5 from 3, which obviously doesn't bode particularly great. But we understand that his mechanics are perfectly fine when he's at a standstill. It's when he's in motion that it falls apart, which is something to keep an eye on. But overall, 12 points, hit the one free throw that he had 9 boards, 4 of them being offensive, had an assist, no turnovers. I mean, it was a solid showing from him. And honestly, even in his first start ever, this is a very solid stat line overall. 12 and 9 from the rookie who everybody was calling a bust. Somebody just commented under the video that we made about him, talking about where we think he's going to have this rest of the season to show who he can potentially be for this team or who he potentially is not for this team. And somebody just slid under the video and said, I can describe him in one word, ... bust. I said, all right. We haven't seen him play a significant stretch of the NBA season at the NBA level. So you're calling a guy a bust who's a rookie who hasn't been given an opportunity. It's not that he's terrible. He's not terrible. He just didn't have as much prep time because early season injuries kept him out of the summer league, right? And out of the preseason. So by the time that Keyonte George was ready to go, and the fact that we had enough bigs, right? We still had Kelly, we had Fontecchio, we had Markkanen, we have Collins. I said Kessler already. We have Kessler. Right. So there just wasn't a need for him in the lineup. So, of course, we're going to send him to the G League. Why wouldn't we? It just makes sense. But now we're seeing a flash. This was a flash. I'm not ready to say that this is going to be consistently what we get out of him. I would like him to go 2 of 5 from 3. I like the fact that he was willing to shoot 5 threes, though. Right. Because similar to Keyonte George, we want him to have that confidence and knowing that he should be willing to shoot the ball. Don't be fearful. We saw Walker take a 3 today, actually. I was surprised when he took it. But I was happy that he took it, and it wasn't a bad miss. He needs to get more comfortable doing it in game, and so him taking 1 to 2-ish a night is going to bode well going forward. We need to see some more free throw consistency from him, and that'll really tell us how much better of a shooter he's progressively becoming. But overall, I don't hate the idea of playing Taylor Hendricks the way that we did today. I think it made sense to kind of do this a little bit earlier on since we traded away Fontecchio, and that gap was left there. But I also understand, putting Walker Kessler back in the starting lineup and seeing some things. Kind of confused why he only played 17 minutes today. I didn't see a report regarding it, but maybe I'm just not paying attention. I'm going to dig a little bit harder. Let's see. Dink said, I think we should have tried to make the playoffs this year, so we have our picks going forward this year is to know how bad is a bad draft, so give our pick to OKC this year, so we have them going forward. Yeah. It looks like they're going to keep trying to push conveying it down the line, which isn't a terrific idea to me, but the management seems to not care about it, which they'll just go from there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Do we have our own pick? We did, and we have a in the trades. We got a late first and a second rounder as well. So we'll see what those turn into. What we end up doing with those. If we do decide to pull off a trade and get a solid wing, remember that the Nets actually said that Mikal Bridges will end up staying and being their core centerpiece this offseason. They're going to be building around him and reconstructing the roster around him. So he's obviously not going to be in trade talks, but it's going to go. It's going to go. You know, if we are in the top 10, yeah, W ding. Yes, sir. Jackson said his meat. Yes, sir. It's been seeming like the front office wants the young guys to play and develop, considering they traded key players to free up some PT. So why not letting them play down the stretch when they do good? Very astute observation, Jackson. Very astute observation, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that in that fourth quarter, I was glad that Keyonte got the minutes that he did. I feel like Taylor Hendricks should have been out there as well, considering you didn't have Walker Kessler in the game. John Collins wasn't protecting the rim particularly great. He wasn't terrible in his switch situations. Sometimes in pick and roll situations where the screener was Keyonte George's man, or excuse me, when the man was screening on Keyonte George and John Collins was the helping defender, he wasn't very great at communicating what Keyonte should do, but Keyonte did a good job trying to go over the screens each time, avoiding just allowing the screen to take him out of the play, because that was something we saw from him earlier on in the season, and particularly it was put on full display against the Warriors the first time we played them, because as we know, they're a very ball movie team. They're very, very vocal about how they move. They run around a lot and they screen a lot, right? Not all the screens are legal. There's a lot of illegal screens, but we saw Keyonte allow himself to get taken out of the play. Second time around in Golden State, he didn't let that slide. And I appreciated that. And of course, he had the scoring outburst, and a lot of people are going to talk about that. But I'm going to talk about how he was on defense, because admittedly, yes, we allowed a lot of points. But at the same time, he was a very reliable person to have on the floor, because he played harder. He played like he meant it. And that's the biggest thing that you can hope from him, because you can tweak technique things. You can make adjustments to somebody's game and skill. You can't make somebody try harder or want it more. So when the rookies are willing to show that they are dialed in enough to make themselves prove that they want something, or that they're trying to show something or put something on display, it makes a lot more sense, and it's a lot more promising for them. We said, where am I? Maybe a mild take, but Utah winning like 3 more games would be good. I'd love to move up in the lottery. The Hornets actually, after the trade deadline, were a lot better than I thought they were going to be. So the issue then became, we're not going to win a terrific number of games. I do think we still beat the Washington Wizards. The Spurs is going to be an interesting game. It's not a def clear situation, right? Because some people would say, "Oh, you definitely should clear the Charlotte Hornets." The Charlotte Hornets were winners of their past 3 games in pretty solidly convincing fashion. And shout out to Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and what's his name, and Trey Mann. Those 3 guys have changed the culture of this team, alongside Brandon Miller, who's standing on business 100% of the time. Now, he didn't have a great shooting night today. He was 6 of 16, 3 of 9 from 3. But you have Miles Bridges, who was, Miles Bridges gave us 26 and 14. Yeah, 26 and 14 is insane. Golly. I thought Grant Williams was the guy that did us the worst. It was actually Miles Bridges. He was 10 of 20 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3. This man is disgusting. The Hornets might actually be cooking something. I like Nick Richards for them. 3 of 5 from the field, 2 of 4 from the free throw line. He had 8 points, 10 boards, 6 offensive. That's problematic, especially that one putback dunk where he basically took the board from Walker Kessler, because Walker thought he thought it was easy. He thought the ball was just coming to him. Nick Richards said, "No, it's mine," and had that putback slam and actually entered his finger. But he dunked it so hard. I want Kessler to have that level of intensity, but we haven't seen it from him yet. So I digress. We'll see. We'll see what comes of it. Trey Mann was solid for them. 4 of 8 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. He had 13 points, positive box score plus minus. Obviously, they're still down LaMelo Ball. I wonder if this lineup makes LaMelo Ball play better when he returns. That's going to be an interesting video concept for the main channel. I'm going to lock that away in my brain for later. But obviously, Seth Curry, 4 of 8 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, hit his 1 free throw, had 2 boards, 10 points, just scoring out, still scoring push off the bench. How do you say VM? Micic, M-I-C-I-C. Is it Mikic? Is it Mikic? I think I don't want to say his name wrong, but VM for them played 19 minutes, and he actually got strapped up the entire time. He was 1 of 9 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3. He was the only guy on their team that particularly had a not great shooting night. I mean, Brandon Miller didn't shoot great, but he shot objectively bad. Obviously, Grant Williams was shooting solid from the field, 7 of 16, 6 of 11 from the field. 6 of 11 from 3, which really killed us down the line. He hit 2 back-to-back that really, the second one being on defensive miscommunication. The first one also, Sexton sliding over from Grant to the wing to prevent the wing 3. Collins inside the paint, now recognizing after that offensive rebound that the ball was going to go to Grant Williams and that he needed to get up there. He got up there late. Grant Williams hits that 3. So definitely rough right there. He took advantage of those opportunities. He was 4-4 from the free throw line. Had 0 rebounds, actually, but he had 2 assists and a steal. 24 points for them. And then Davis Bertans got in his little 6.5 minutes, Oh my God. Bertans. Why would you do us like that? In 6.5 minutes, he was 3 of 3 from the field. And you wouldn't guess. All 3 of them came from the 3-point line. He had nothing else except for 2 personal fouls. He came in the game to spray us, and he sprayed us and got pulled after 6.5. That's crazy. All right. Yeah. Not great. Pete, you said he listened to you and limited his minutes to 25. So it would seem lower Clarkson's minutes to give Brice more time as well. Yep, in agreement. Was good, Jeff. He said, I want to be very mad, but I see the burn that Hendricks, George, and Sensabaugh got, and I like what I saw from the rookies. Yeah, that's the thing that I'm trying to switch my perspective to focus on that specifically instead of the fact that we're not going to be a playoff team. It's a little bit difficult. But, it's pretty solid seeing the way that things have played out for them at the very least this game. I wonder if it is maintainable for them and how many strides forward they can eventually end up making, because that's also going to be interesting. Let me see. Rather they flat out say they're tanking the Sexton minutes is disrespectful. Clarkson 34. Why? I think it's for the trade, the potential trade at the end. Not gonna lie. Set him after the first quarter for 12 minutes and the game went downhill. Yeah. I have had enough of JC, and Kessler is showing that unfortunately he is soft, needs to go strong. Hopefully he can improve. I'm wondering what they're trying to make Kessler do, particularly offensively, because not only is he going up soft, but he's just allowing it. He's allowing the game to happen around him instead of him happening to the game. And that's my biggest concern for him, because let's face it, Walker Kessler has a great level of defensive upside, right? I would argue that he has greater defensive upside than Rudy Gobert ever had. He moves his feet better. He's less awkward offensively. He has the ability to be much more skilled than Rudy was for us, right? So the question is, how long does it take for him to say, no, I'm not accepting what you're giving me anymore. I'm taking it from you. And I don't know. Maybe it's an ego thing, the fact that he doesn't really have one. I would like, if I could take Colin Sexton's mentality and throw it into Walker Kessler's body, right? I would love it. Now he might actually get a couple technical fouls at that point, but at the very least, we would see exactly what he's capable of doing right now each time when he's at the rim. Like, no ball would be safe, no shot would be safe. He already jumps as is on most people's pump fakes. Regardless, he's not terrific at verticality. I'd like to see him get a little bit better in that area, specifically on defense. But overall, I don't dislike his defensive presence. He's been very solid. He's been a great shot blocker. Even though he only had 1 block today, admittedly, he only played 17 minutes. So that's to be expected. There's only but so much effect you can have in a short period of time like that. But offensively, I need him to finish, right? I'm glad that he felt comfortable shooting that 1-3 that he did end up taking. It's unfortunate that it didn't go in, but I'm glad that he shot it. That was a good shot. I was willing to accept that miss, right? That's something I'm willing to live and die with. Now, if he takes 7 in a game, I don't need to see 7, but 1 to 2-ish every now and then would be acceptable. But at the rim, we need to see something change. We need to see him have a level of Jordan Clarkson-esque um like ego, like personality. Like this is sometimes, especially in the fourth quarter, we saw Jordan Clarkson take a shot that he should not have taken. The ball he should have deferred to Keyonte George. And when Colin Sexton was on the floor, he should have deferred to Colin Sexton. And we saw him elect to do neither and either turn the ball over a couple times or just miss a shot. Again, he was 5 of 13, 0 of 4 from 3, by the way. But he was 5 of 6 from the free throw line, so a little positive there. Also had 8 rebounds, 4 assists, but he also had 4 turnovers. So be that as it may, do with that information what you will. He had 15 points overall and the worst box score plus minus of a negative 19, which also tells you more that you need to know. Something that was also interesting to me, not Walker Kessler got outplayed to the point where he had a box score plus minus of one that was so low I didn't think it was right. Like I reloaded my page a couple times because it didn't make sense to me. He had the second worst box score plus minus at a negative 18 in 17 minutes. Over a 17-minute span, we got outscored by 18 points with Walker Kessler on the floor. Now, you say, how did that happen? Was it Walker Kessler's fault? What did he do wrong? No, he didn't do anything wrong. We attribute it because honestly, inside the arc, they did not shoot well. 20 for 52 is not a great shooting percentage. In fact, it is just under 40%. So inside the arc, they were not hitting well, right? So during those 17 minutes, I would assume just by the overall percentage inside the arc that they were not either willing to shoot in the paint or they were missing their shots at the paint because of him. However, that 20 of 42 from 3, it's very likely that they ended up going into more 5-out situations and more high pick and rolls actions that would either draw him away from the rim or just put him in conflict to the point where he's being stressed now to close out to the 3-point line when guys are going to hit. And they were hitting today, right? Grant Williams, 6 of 11, Bertans, 3 of 3, Trey Mann, 2 of 3, Miles Bridges, 4 of 6. Like those are extremely high, 20 of 40. They hit 23s. We hit 9. So combining the fact that he split a lot of minutes with Jordan Clarkson, who was 5 of 13, and he himself was 1 of 4, together that's 6 of 17, right? And between them, they only had 2 offensive rebounds. Clarkson had 4 turnovers. Walker had 1, so 5 turnovers. So overall, there wasn't a lot going on offense. Combine that with the fact that we were having trouble closing out on shooters and getting strong contests, and they were also hitting their 3-pointers. And that just puts us in a situation where it makes Walker Kessler's box score plus minus look like he was having a terrible defensive day. And he quite honestly wasn't. But when you have guys like, for example, Davis Bertans getting thrown out on the floor, that's a play that will put Walker Kessler in conflict because he does have a 3-ball. He came in for 6.5 minutes, hit 3 threes, and they sat him back on a bench. He came in, they literally plugged it in the USB and pulled it out as soon as he downloaded the file. Like it was quick and not lovely, right? But it happened. So we just take it as it goes. With any luck, I would like to see Walker Kessler get more aggressive before the offseason. I don't want to sit there and go into the offseason thinking, oh, well, Walker Kessler's going to learn how to shoot, and he's also going to be a lot better defensive. He's going to be a lot better offensively, finishing at the rim. He's going to get a lot stronger. He's going to be in the weight room. And then we'll see him next year. I don't want to think that. I want to know for certain, like we can look at this game, or this stretch of 4 or 5 games and say Walker Kessler was really locked in. If he can replicate what he did at this point in the season, towards the latter half, we are trusting that he will make greater strides going into next season. That's how we want to feel going into next season for him specifically, because his is a confidence thing. There's no way anybody can convince me that Walker Kessler can't average a double-double. You play Walker Kessler 27 to 34 minutes, guaranteed double-double to me, right? We see John Collins play almost 31 minutes, 18 rebounds. I don't see a world where Walker Kessler can't give us 20 rebounds in a random game. Now, is it going to be a consistent thing? Of course not. That's very difficult to do. But as much as we have him around the rim, particularly defensively, and then offensively cleaning up the glass, right? I think he's a double-double machine at his peak. Now, how peak? I think in the video that I made at the beginning of the season, I think I expected him to average 14 points this season. Clearly, it's not happening. I didn't think that the lack of aggressiveness was going to be this bad or protrude this long across the season, but it has. And here we are. So we're just going to have to take it as it goes, be that as it may. And we'll see how things shake out. We'll see how things shake out. We said Golden State lit a fire under him. Yeah. Curry gave him his welcome to the NBA moment. That's the one. I can't wait for that interview. It's going to be hilarious logic because we all saw it. We're all going to say, oh, we remember that game. This game was very winnable, except they didn't want to win. The lineups did not allow them to win. And Jordan Clarkson was being his normal self. And ultimately, that kind of put us back a little bit. Keyonte George was pretty solid in the fourth. He didn't necessarily take over entirely. There was a lot of times where he actually wouldn't have the ball on offense coming down the court. And instead of standing there calling for the ball repeatedly, I saw him actually move to open gaps, which is going to be very important. Off-ball movement for a rookie is important to learn. The earlier on in your career you learn it, the better and a more well-rounded player you're going to be over the longevity of your career, right? Dame had to figure out how to be an off-ball player. Curry was always capable of being an off-ball player. So that's the difference between those two. Keyonte George, similarly, was playing off the ball really early in the season. Doesn't shoot well from catch and shoot threes. That's one of the biggest gripes with his game that we need him to get better at, right? He's more of a ball dominant guard. So if we can get him to make those mistakes now and over the remainder of the season gets a little bit better, and then over the offseason gets a lot better at catch and shoot, then we see a world where not only can he consistently take 6 to 8 threes, he can consistently hit 3 to 5 of those. And then, to me, if his playmaking can be consistent, he can cut down on the turnovers a little bit. You're looking at a fringe all-star player, maybe not a perennial all-star, but a fringe all-star. And then we're really talking about, okay, how much further can we push his game? How much further can we get it? How much more effective can he be defensively? How much more of a terror and a pest can he be? Can he learn from Chris Dunn in the way and avoid falling into the Jordan Clarkson realm where some games it's there, some games it's not. Sometimes he's super clutch defensively. Sometimes he's really lax defensively in the clutch, if that makes sense. Zach was good, my guy. He said that was not fun. Well, other than the rookies, yeah. Please let it be so. Kessler's one post try against Grant Williams was extremely pathetic. Yeah. Now, granted, Grant Williams is a very sturdy individual, but overall, Kessler, it looked quite simply like Grant Williams wasn't even in the mindset of, I'm not going to let you have this. He was like, he's not going to do anything. And then Walker Kessler was like the Karl Anthony Towns meme where what's his name? Where DeMarcus Cousins is literally just bodying him up, hands behind his back. And then you see Karl Anthony Towns genuinely with a struggle face on, trying to back him down with his shoulder in his chest. It's one of those moments. That's what it looked like to me. It was just not great. Not what we want to see out of him specifically. But everything comes with time, I guess. Everything comes with time. You got a new job? Tyson, talk to me. What you doing now, my guy? Let me know. What's up, Mr. Game? How bad was it? Chris, it wasn't terrible. The Hornets are obviously a better team than they were the last time we played them. We didn't run very lovingly lineups, but the objective was always for the rookies to get a lot more minutes now. By default, that means that we're going to be in a tanking situation. Not necessarily we're planning on tanking, but more of because we're not putting our best 5 on the court at all times, we're by default tanking kind of situation. It's like if you're driving a car and you're late to your doctor's appointment, you drive really fast. Your objective isn't to burn the most gas out of your car. But if you're mashing the gas pedal trying to get there as soon as possible, by default, you're going to burn a lot more gas. Similarly, we're trying to get the rookies up to speed and have them show who they are and who they are not going to be by the end of this season. So we don't have to spend a lot of time next season doing that. And it just, this is the result. This is the result. It's going to be a pretty lengthy remainder of the season. I'll say that. It said, LOL, it sounds like a loser job, but it's $15 an hour working hard. Hey, man, look. He said, car wash check. What are the odds? Hey, man, 15 is 15. I don't care, Tyson. 15 is 15. You're gonna make more doing the car wash job than in a week, probably, if you work 40 hours than I make a month doing my videos. So there's that. There's that. Oh, that was a Kawhi laugh. That was not intentional. My apologies for subjecting you all to that. He said, "Did the rookies at least look okay?" Yeah, yeah. Brice Sensabaugh was giving effort on defense. He was 3 of 6 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3 in just 12 and a half minutes. Had 7 points. Box score plus minus wasn't really indicative of how good he played. Keyonte George was 7 of 14, shot 50% from the field. He was 2 of 8 from 3, which wasn't great, but he was still in the mix the entire time. Defensively, he was definitely playable. 3 rebounds, 5 assists, but he did have 5 turnovers. Just the growing pains. He did have 16 points, but I can live with it because, again, 50% from the field. Wasn't hitting his threes, but found other ways to score the basketball inside the arc. Similarly, Taylor Hendricks had a surprise today. Obviously, it being announced that he was going to start. It being 25, almost 26 minutes that he got on the court. In the third quarter, in particular, he had his best stretch. 5 of 9 from the field. He was 1 of 5 from 3, so we're going to keep an eye on it. 1 of 1 from the free throw line, though. Had 9 rebounds, 4 of them being offensive. Had 12 points, borderline double-double in his first start. Box score plus minus tied for the best on the team with a plus 10 alongside John Collins. I loved it. He gave a lot to enjoy from that. He said, nice. You were good car wash. What car wash you wearing? I'm weak. Quick quack car wash. Like rubber ducky style. Nice. But yeah. Oh yeah. So anybody from the very beginning of the channel remembers that this was the original angle that I took. I literally had not booted up this PC until yesterday this year. Like the last time I booted it up was December 30th of last year. This was that first time this year. And then also like just streaming on this one. I decided like for live streams, I'm probably going to set up right here. In my videos, I'll still do, I don't know if y'all can see it, but over there on the couch, I still got my jerseys and everything set up. So I'll probably do my regular videos from there and we'll live stream from right here. Probably going to start doing reaction videos as well, finally. But we'll see long-term how things play out, things of that nature. But of course, after every Jazz game, except for on Sundays because I do security, we'll be right here. This is the angle I'm giving you guys. We'll chat it up. We'll focus on the rookies, obviously, because that is the point that we are focused on and the area that we hope to see the most improvement by default, because that's going to have to be our coping mechanism, right? We'll see how things shake out, though. They said Lakers down 20, good day. I know Flair's happy. Anything interesting, gentlemen? Before I don't take up too much more of your all time. Quick little streamy stream. I'm gonna edit my video tomorrow and have it up probably around 2 p.m. It will be Hoops Nerd actually made an article on SLC Dunk's website about the Jazz putting themselves in position to make a play for Cooper Flag, which I found to actually be kind of interesting. I don't necessarily agree with it entirely or buy into it, but I thought it was worthy of discussion. So that video is going to be a little bit long. I apologize. I tried to not talk my way around it. It's currently 24 minutes before I started editing. I'm gonna try and get it down to like 19, 18. Obviously everybody doesn't always have 18 minutes in their day to spend on something like that, but I'll try to make it work as much as possible for y'all. I'm wondering the only way the Cooper Flag thing, just to short it, the only way it makes sense to me is if I'm not the highest on Cooper Flag. Yes, he has the intangibles. I also love the idea of pairing him with Lowry, but that implies that Lowry will also develop a dribble game of his own, right? Because you're not going to have a situation where you have Cooper Flag and Lowry on the floor, but not have Walker Kessler starting, right? I hope. Unless you're going to go Taylor Hendricks and you're planning on keeping Walker Kessler off the bench. What are we doing? But either way, you put yourself in a situation where you're going to have to see somebody step up, somebody step down, and then just to get Cooper Flag, because we're not going to be bad enough to get Cooper Flag, right? So it's going to be a situation where we're going to have to make sure we have enough assets to trade to whoever has the pick that would be him and convince them to give it up. So we'll see how it goes. Of course, when the video actually drops, let me know what y'all think in the comments below. But yeah, man. I appreciate y'all tuning into the stream. Obviously, we didn't get the most favorable outcome of this game, but we saw the rookies get some positive burn. We saw some positive implications for particularly Taylor Hendricks specifically. We saw Keyonte George more or less keep up with his consistency, which was beautiful to see. And later on down the road, hopefully we see more Brice minutes that look really positive. With that being said, appreciate you guys tuning in this video or tuning into this live stream. As always, like the video, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and become a member if you haven't already to get the videos faster than anybody else and help support the channel. With that being said, good morning, good evening, good night, no matter where you're on the globe watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Mackie said, dig at the new setup. Catch you next live. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, my boy.